Hello and welcome to another Crafting with the Desmond-Fish Public Library. My name is Beth and I am the Teen Services Librarian there, and I also work at Circulation. Today I'm going to show you how to make a surprisingly simple moving card. It's not so much a pop-up card because nothing pops up, but things move in it. As you can see, when I open and close it, the turtle stretches out his neck and the heart appears in the speech bubble. This is what I'm going to show you how to make today. It's pretty fun. So, what you're going to need is some sort of stiff paper. I'm using 300 weight Bristol board. You could use cardstock. You could even use index cards if that was all you have. I've done it with watercolor paper before. This one I did just with regular sort of printer paper, and it works pretty well, but it can get a little bit wonky and it will wear out. It's more prone to bits that shouldn't bending in places, you know. If that pops in, it won't close. So I just recommend using a stiff paper. You're going to need a craft knife of some kind, a glue stick, a ruler, a pencil, some scissors. If you're using a craft knife, a surface to cut onto, I'm going to use my bone folder because I like things to be precise. And I have some markers here to decorate. And this is just a piece of Bristol board off the end of a previous project. And it's going to give me more than enough to make this card. So let me show you the next step. So to start off, for the structure of the card, I've already cut my pieces out, and to make a square card this shape, you're going to need two pieces that are 3 inches by 6 inches. So here are my two pieces, and you're going to need 2 strips that are a 1/2 inch by 3 inches. So these are a 1/2 inch tall, 3 inches long. And I need 2 of those, and I need 2 pieces that are 3 by 6. And these are going to create the sort of interior push-pull that's allowed the things to move, and this one's going to wrap around the outside at the end to hide everything that happens behind the scenes. So we're going to set these aside to start. We're going to start with just this one piece of card. And we're going to mark where we're going to cut our slits. So we're going to find the middle. And I'm going to use a bone folder to fold mine down the middle because I know my crease will be nicer, especially with thicker paper. So I'm just scoring along a ruler. And now it folds really nicely and exactly along that. So now I have a middle line at my fold. I'm going to mark places where I'm going to cut. I'm going to make 2 boxes. I'm going to take my ruler and I am going to measure up and then mark make a little dot at 3/4 of an inch. Gonna do a little dot, 1 1.25 inches, 2 inches, and 2.5 inches. So I have 4 dots here. I have 4 dots, and I'm just gonna repeat the numbers again. Starting at the bottom, I measured up 3/4, then 1 1.25 inches. This is going to be 1 box. I measured up 2 and 2.5. This is going to be another box. They're going to be 1/2 inch squares that are centered on that line. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure out 1/4 inch from each side of those, which will make me a 1/2 inch. I have one of my favorite things ever, which is a center finding ruler. And it prevents you from having to do a lot of math. I think it is a genius invention, and I really love mine. And it makes it easy for me to pretty quickly make my boxes. This one got a bit wonky. I'm using pencil, so I'm just going to erase it. I've got two boxes drawn that are centered on my center fold there. And you'll notice they're not equidistant. This one is a little higher up than this one is lower down. This is going to be for the turtle's neck. This one is going to be for the speech bubble. Now, next, and very, very, very importantly, is we're going to mark what we're going to cut and what we're going to fold, because we are only going to cut 3 sides of these boxes. Now I'm going to tell you what to do, and then we're going to flip it around. That way we don't have pencil lines all over. So with the bottom being the one that starts up a little more, it is the bottom right side. I'm going to erase a little and make it dotted. The top left side, I'm going to do the same thing. So now my boxes look like that, and you can see my camera's reversing it. I hope it won't turn out that way for you guys. But again, it's the top left side and the bottom right side. I've just made them dotted instead of solid, and that's going to remind me not to cut there. Then I'm going to take my craft knife and I'm going to cut the other 3 sides of each box. And make sure my lines all connect to each other. Okay, now I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to push these like they were little windows, and I'm going to push them open so that if I have it towards me, it's like this. And I'm going to fold on that dotted line I made. I'm going to fold them back. So it helps to imagine as if they're windows and we've just made window shutters. So we've cut these out and we folded them back. We've got our top and our bottom. This is going to be the inside of our card. This is going to be all the stuff that gets hidden at the end by our second piece. So next, now that we have the shutters open on our windows, we are going to attach the strips. And we're going to do it sort of the same for each one. So what we want to do is you're going to close your shutters and you're going to glue your strip to your shutter. So I'm going to make sure I get glue only on my little shutter here, my little tab. And then I'm going to stick this straight on it. And I'm going to make sure the end of this strip here lines up really nicely in the fold of the shutter. So the strip isn't going to end in the middle. The strip is going to end in the fold of the shutter, like that. And to remember what side to glue on, you're gluing on your shutters when they're closed. Putting my strip, I'm putting it, this is called the gutter of a fold, so I'm putting it in the gutter of the shutter fold. And what I want is to make sure that my strip goes on nice and perpendicular to the rest of it. And then I'm going to do the other one. So now this is what I have. Now because I'm using Bristol board, I'm going to let it sit a moment with the glue to sort of give the glue a chance to dry a little bit so it doesn't slide around. But this is a great time now to make my turtle. And I've got some more scraps here. And we're going to make our turtle in two pieces. We're going to make the shell and the feet, and we're going to make the head and the long neck as two separate pieces. Now, the size you make your turtle, its dimensions, don't really matter as long as it fits inside the card when the card is closed. My turtle is about 1.5 inches wide, the shell, and I find that's nice. So I see, gonna do a round shell, and I do a pretty stylized rather than realistic looking turtle. Give it a little tail. Let's see. Give it 4 legs and feet. And then I like to do just some lines on the shell to give it a little bit of texture. So that is all, you know, not very fancy looking. That's all my turtle shell is going to be. And I am going to color it in now before I stick it on because I learned the hard way. It's much easier to color it when it's this before you've actually stuck it on all the moving bits and pieces. So I think it looks nice with a sharp black outline. I didn't do it in pen first, I did it in pencil just in case I did something I didn't like. I wanted to be able to erase it. Turtle body. If I want to get picky, I can erase the pencil now, but I'm going to put a little bit of color on it. Should cover up the pencil pretty well. Turtle. Now I am going to make the neck. Now the neck we are going to attach to this. And we are going to want to make it about the width or a little bit bigger than our tab here. It can hang over the edges at the top and bottom, but what it cannot do is go past the center fold when it's all the way flat. So when I have it all the way open, the tip of my turtle's nose ends before I get to the center fold. And that is one of the few important measures to have. Other than that, you can just go for it. So I'm going to make my other turtle piece, and then I will be back. Okay, so I now have my head and neck piece and my body piece. My head and neck piece is about 1.5 inches long. Now my next step is to cut them out. Now I want it to be really pretty close on the line, which is another reason why it's nice to have a black outline following the shell. But once I get down to the feet, I can just loop around. I don't mind having a little bit of white space there. So tight around the front of the shell and sort of loose at the rest, and pretty tight around the whole of the turtle's neck. So, turtle head. Move my scraps out of my work area. So now it is going to be time to attach them. Before we do that, we are going to cut some slits in this to hide the rest of this when we don't have it. Because as you can see, it just sort of disappears back there. It doesn't go sticking out at the end of the turtle or sticking out on the other side of the speech bubble. Now these slits, the one at the top, and which is the one that will have the biddy facing left. This is the way these are going to go in the end. Is the shutter side of the shutter, you're imagining the shutter closed along this layout. And at the top, I'm going to do this about 1/2 inch away from the center, which will be about 1/4 inch, and then give a little tiny bit more away from the end of the box. I'm going to do this lightly in pencil so I can erase anything that remains. As you can see, it's about 1/4 inch away from the end of that, 1/2 inch away from the fold, and it's a teeny bit, it's going to be a teeny bit bigger than my strip, because I want my strip to go through it nicely. I now have my strip cut. I'm going to do my one down here. And this one I'm going to figure out by taking a look at my turtle. And these strips you can see are still a little long, so we're going to trim them in a moment. So when it is open, flat like this, you want your turtle, the head, let's see if I can get you a view here you can see. You want the head on your strip here, You don't really want its nose further forward than the middle fold strip here. And then I'm going to place my turtle body on top. And I'm going to think that looks nice. And I'm just going to make myself a tiny little dot on my strip here where the neck meets the shell. And then I'm going to give myself a little bit of wiggle room, about a ½ inch. So here's where the neck meets the shell. I give myself about a ½ inch more, and then that is where I'm going to put my slit. I'm going to put my slit where it is going to be hidden by the turtle's body. It gives me lots of room that I don't pull it out accidentally when I'm opening and closing things. So now that I have this slit, I'm going to do the bottom one first. I am going to take my strip and I'm going to put it in the slit and push it until it's flat. Now, your glue bit here might pop off, but just glue it back on. So now, when I open and close, this pushes in and out of there. Now I'm going to fold it around to the back. You can see the back of the tab, and I'm going to trim this so it's about a ½ inch away from the edge. So I'm just going to eyeball it really, about a ½ inch, and snip it off and give myself that. Because we want this to be completely free to move when our card is done, but we do need somewhere to put some glue to attach the back. So I'm leaving myself this little strip here. With it open and flat, I'm going to glue my turtle head and neck down with my glue stick. And I can see my turtleneck is going to be a teensy bit long. So I'm going to trim them as long as it's not going to stick out past the shell. When it's all the way open, then that's long enough. So I have that much leeway still. And now, for the first couple times, I'm going to want to sort of assist my card, because I now have a double layer, because I have the turtle on top of this, which is also going to need to go through the slit. So I'm just going to, when I'm closing it, just sort of push and make sure the turtle gets through okay. And I'm going to do it a couple times until it goes smooth. And if it's not going smooth, I'm just going to pull the tab out. I'm going to make this split a tiny bit wider. So I want to test all of this now before I get the back sealed up. So it goes better now. And I'm realizing as I make this, if I had left my neck a little bit longer until it was past this fold here, until it was back from here, it wouldn't stick as much. So when I make another one of these, I'll do that. It's just that my practice ones, the paper wasn't as thick. But that's how I do these a lot of the time, is I make it, try it, and then if there's a mistake, I just try again. It's a lot of little fiddling you can do. Now I'm going to stick the turtle's body on. And the important part is I'm only going to put glue here. I don't want to get any glue here. The body cannot be attached to the neck in any way. So I'm just going to put glue on the back half of it and stick it down. And of course, because I'm a silly, I put it on the front half of it instead of the back half of it. But all I'm going to have to do is just stick something over where I don't want there to be glue. Just going to take me a moment. So I just found a scrap piece of paper. I stuck it on the area where I don't want any glue to be touching the neck. And now I'm just going to cut along the edge of my turtle, using it as a guide. The other thing I could have done is wait for the glue to dry, but I'm feeling impatient. So I just have a little bit of paper covering my mistake there, which means that now I can glue my turtle body down, only attaching the back part so that it does not impede the neck. Like so. My turtle's head comes out. My turtle's head goes in, my turtle's head comes out. So now we're going to do the speech bubble. And how I find lining up the speech bubble works best is to leave this. I've got my slit already cut and ready for me, but I'm going to leave this out. This is what the heart is going to go on, and I want to line it up so when it's in the open position, you can see the heart. So I am going to draw a heart here. Got my heart, and then I'm just going to mark where it begins and ends. Give myself some buffer space around it. So I've marked top and bottom, left to right, and I'm just going to round that out. And now so that I can see the heart, because it's going to be behind it, I am going to cut out a little window for it. So I'm going to mark where the strip is, and I'm going to go a little bit inside that. And inside of my speech bubble, I'm going to cut myself a square. So I figured this out by seeing where the top and bottom are going to be, and just sort of guessing at the sides. I now have a window I can cut. If you can do a circle, do a circle. I find it a little bit hard with the Bristol board and the knife to get one that looks nice. Round it if you want. Ooh, I tried to round it a little. It came out a little bit wonky. Oh well. I'm going to erase the extra bits. So I have a speech bubble with a window, and I have a heart drawn on this. I'm going to color my heart in. I think I'm going to give it a black outline as well so that it pops. And now I'm going to feed this into the slit that I made here. So I'm going to curve it for a moment, and I'm going to feed it through. Sometimes you might have to make your slit a little bigger because this doesn't want to go nicely for me. There we go. So now my heart is in my window. But if I close it, my heart disappears. Now, it's a little wonky because this can flap here, but once we put the back on, it will guide all of the pieces. So I am going to get them all to cooperate for a moment. Put my card in the closed position and figure out where to trim this one. So I want to make sure I'm not cutting my heart. I'm just peeking, I'm seeing, I'm going a little ways past that and snipping. And I can also see my heart doesn't fit in my window great. So that means all I have to do is make my window a little bit bigger. I'm going to remember to take my strip back out because I don't want to cut it. I'm just going to make my window a little bit taller. There are better, more delicate cutting tools than a box cutter, but this is what I have. So now my heart fits a little bit better. And if I can see a tiny bit of daylight through that gap there, it doesn't matter, it'll be hidden when I put the backing on. So I'm going to finish my speech bubble by blacking the pencil line. And then erasing the pencil. Now I'm almost done. Got my card. It's a little bit sticky, so I should have made the turtle's neck longer. And to finish it, I'm going to put the back on. And the back is going to cover all of this flappy business. So I'm going to find the middle of this piece, which is going to be 3 inches in. I'm going to use my bone folder. I'm going to make myself a fold. And now I'm going to put the glue on this. That way I can make sure I'm not straying into any of the territories of the moving parts. If I just put it on here, I can't be sure. So I'm going to take my glue stick and I'm going to go all the way around the edge, making sure that I don't get any glue on any of the bits that I need to move. And now I'm going to fit it in to my other card, and I'm going to press down. And then if I have little overhang bits, I can always trim these up and make it look nice. Now the only thing I have left is to write something on the front. It can just be simple, something simple like open. I wanted to sound very official, so this one says, "Please accept this message from my turtle emissary." You can write whatever you want, and then when you open it, you've got a turtle that stretches out its neck and a heart that appears in a speech bubble. And there you go. That's all there is to it. And like I said, you can change the message, you can put whatever you want in here, you can make whatever animal you want. But I like turtles, and I hope that turtles love me. And I will see you all next week for another episode. Thanks for watching.